What does it take to become one of the most feared drug cartels in the world? It goes beyond just eliminating the competition, if you catch my drift. It's about sending a message through acts of calculated brutality, using methods so creatively cruel they defy polite description. Welcome back to The Final Cry. Today we're checking out documented real-world methods that have made cartels synonymous with some of the most extreme workplace dissatisfaction in the modern world. If you're ready to understand the depths of this unpleasantness, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the notification bell. Method 1. The corkscrew and hot chills. Imagine being captured by a group of hitmen who work for the most powerful drug lords in the world. A real welcome to the team moment. This is what happened to a Mexican federal law enforcement officer in 2017. His captors were the Ninis, the armed wing of the Chapitos. They wanted information, and they were willing to take their sweet time to get it. For 2 straight hours, they tortured him. Their tools were simple, the kind of thing you might use for a dinner party gone wrong. They took a common corkscrew and repeatedly jabbed it into the man's muscles before ripping it back out, tearing the flesh. But they weren't done. To really spice things up, if you'll pardon the expression, they then took hot chilies and rubbed them directly into the fresh, open wounds. The goal was to cause maximum suffering with minimum tools, a real lesson in frugal ferocity. After the torture was complete, Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar, one of El Chapo's sons, arrived and personally shot and killed the officer. This method showed a chilling creativity in using everyday items to inflict professional-level pain. The Chapitos used simple tools to cause incredible pain, but their cruelty wasn't limited to things you could find in a kitchen drawer. At their private ranch, they kept a much more terrifying and exotic way to deal with human resources issues. Method 2. Fed to tigers. For the Chapitos, Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar and Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar, power wasn't just about money. It was about sending an unforgettable message. At a ranch they owned in Navolato, Sinaloa, they kept a collection of exotic animals, including tigers. According to detailed U.S. Justice Department indictments, this was more than a private zoo. The ranch also functioned as an interrogation and, let's say, a permanent staff off-boarding center. Rival drug traffickers, law enforcement officials who got too close, and even cartel members who fell out of favor were taken there. After they were questioned and tortured, their employment was terminated. But a simple shooting was sometimes not dramatic enough. The indictments state that the Chapitos would have these individuals, sometimes already deceased and sometimes still conscious, introduced to the tiger enclosures to be consumed. This act of feeding humans to tigers served as the ultimate form of disrespect and a powerful warning to anyone who might consider calling in sick. Using tigers to handle terminations is a shocking display of power, but another cartel, Los Zetas, took a colder, more industrial approach to brutality, creating facilities designed to make people, let's say, permanently relocate without a forwarding address. Method 3. The kitchens and acid baths. The Los Zetas cartel was known for its military-like discipline and its sheer ruthlessness. They operated on a scale of violence that was almost factory-like. In northern Veracruz, they controlled a ranch they called La Guillera. On this property, they built 12 separate facilities that they referred to with the dark nickname, the Kitchens. This name was a horrifying piece of false advertising. These were not places to cook food, unless you have a very strong stomach. Witnesses and investigations have described them as human disposal sites. The process was systematic and designed to erase all evidence. Guests were brought to the kitchens and were never seen again. Their earthly remains were then disposed of in several creative ways. Some were dissolved in large bathtubs filled with powerful acid, a truly final bath. Others were dismembered and fed to crocodiles kept on the property. For others, the cartel used large industrial crematoriums to reduce the bodies to ashes. The goal was total annihilation, leaving families with no body to bury and police with nothing to add to their case files. Los Zetas focused on making people vanish completely, but years earlier, a rival cartel committed a single, grotesque act of mutilation that was designed not to hide a body, but to display it in the most conversation-starting way possible. Method 4. Face peeling and dismemberment. In 2010, the Sinaloa cartel, then led by El Chapo himself, wanted to send a clear message to its rivals and the authorities. They kidnapped a man named Hugo Hernandez. What they did to him was an act of calculated, symbolic terror. After taking him, Their sicarios, or assassins, performed a brutal mutilation. They skillfully peeled the entire skin from his face, an act that likely occurred while he was still with us. They then dismembered his body, cutting off his head and limbs. Later, plastic containers holding his torso and limbs were left on a public street for everyone to find. But the cartel had one more step for their multimedia presentation. As a final, chilling message, they stitched Hernandez's peeled face onto a soccer ball and left this unique sporting good near the local city hall. This was not just a murder. It was a public spectacle designed to dominate through pure, unadulterated horror. Mutilation sends a powerful visual message, but cartels also need information. To get it, they have adopted and adapted torture techniques that are known for breaking a person's will without always leaving obvious physical souvenirs. Method 5. Electrocution and waterboarding. For cartels like the one run by the Chapitos, gathering intelligence is a key part of their business. To do this, they need to encourage people to share. U.S. federal indictments detailed that they used specific methods of torture during interrogations. Two of their preferred techniques were electrocution and waterboarding. They used electrocution to deliver sharp, overwhelming pain to sensitive parts of the body. Waterboarding, which simulates the feeling of drowning, was used to inflict extreme psychological terror and physical suffering. These methods were often used on members of rival drug cartels to get information about their operations. They were also used on their own associates who failed to pay their debts or were suspected of disloyalty. The advantage of these techniques is that they can cause severe trauma without always leaving permanent external marks, allowing for prolonged and deeply unpleasant conversations. These interrogation methods are designed to be sustained over time, but one of the most infamous cases of cartel torture in history was a relentless 30-hour attack on a single man, an event that would permanently change the relationship between the cartels and the United States. Method 6. The power drill. The death of DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena in 1985 stands as a dark milestone in the history of the drug war. Agent Camarena had been working undercover in Guadalajara, gathering intelligence on the powerful Guadalajara cartel. When his cover was blown, he was kidnapped. What followed was a marathon of torture that lasted over 30 hours. He was severely beaten, with the bones in his face, skull, and jaw being shattered. His captors then brought in a power drill, deciding that standard issue interrogation was insufficient. To ensure he remained conscious and felt every moment of the agony, they repeatedly injected him with drugs to keep him awake. While he was in this state, they used the power drill on his head. The brutality of his death, carried out on a U.S. federal agent, sparked a massive investigation and forever cemented the cartel's reputation for ruthless, unimaginable violence. From corkscrews and power tools to acid baths and tigers, these 6 methods show a clear pattern. For Mexican cartels, extreme brutality is not just an outburst of anger. It is a calculated business strategy, a truly horrifying form of customer relations. If you have the intestinal fortitude for more true stories from the darkest corners of the world, make sure you're following this channel. We dig into the cases that others are too afraid to touch. Hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell for all notifications. Turning on notifications is the only way you won't miss our next investigation into the world's least pleasant topics.